Welcome to another edition of WCW Monday Nitro as a part of the How I Would Book It WCW 1998 series. This is the second week of February, and we are 2 weeks away from Super Brawl and 2 weeks away from the second big pay-per-view of 1998. Last week, a little bit of a recap. Last week, we finally got the announcement of what Eric Bischoff talked to Scott Hall last month about in that private meeting they had on Nitro, and we found out that it was Eric Bischoff threatening to fire Scott Hall if Scott Hall crossed the boss again. And now we found out that Scott Hall may be looking to use his victory at World War III to challenge the WCW World Heavyweight Champion Sting a little bit sooner. But right now, the show kicks off with Eric Bischoff and Hollywood Hogan in the ring, taunting Kevin Nash, and they say something like, "Though I would have both Eric and Hogan allowed to run their segment creatively of what they say, I would direct them I would direct Eric to do most of the talking. I mean, Hulk to do most of the talking because he's going to be the one that's working. So I would have Hulk do most of the talking and say something like this: when you cross the leader of the NWO, you always lose." And you might be thinking, "Well, Hulk, you lost at Starrcade. The only reason why I lost at Starrcade is because of Kevin Nash. And now Kevin Nash is gonna lose a lot more. Because not only did he lose his title shot at Sold Out, but he's going to lose his best friend. Because you don't cross Hollywood Hogan, you don't cross Eric Bischoff, and you don't cross the NWO." Before Hogan can continue, look who makes his way to the ring. Macho Man Randy Savage. Now Macho Man joins Eric and Hogan in the ring, and much like every other Macho Man segment, he's free to say whatever he wants. He's free to write out his own promo and speak it however he wants. But I would give him the direction of do a similar promo to the one he did to Eric Bischoff at Sold Out regarding how Eric treats Hollywood Hogan different because of who Hogan is, and treats Savage as lesser than Hogan. And Savage would add something like this to the match. He would say something like, "You know, Hulk, Kevin and Scott are right. It is the entire NWO as a cohesive unit, but we're all living in Hulk Hogan's world. You've always been jealous of me, but I've never been jealous of you. And you know what, Hulk? What'll happen when you don't have the NWO on your side anymore? I challenge you to a match at Super Brawl for complete control of the NWO, because I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of being called Hulk Hogan's lapdog. And it's time for Hulk Hogan to start being the Macho Man's lapdog. Eric calls him out and says, Savage, you can't make matches, only I can. You have no choice in the matter. Only I do. I mean, you have no say. The match you want between Hogan and yourself will never happen because you're not in Hulk Hogan's league. And you will never get a chance to prove it. Because you've proven it enough. Now get out of our ring. You hit me, Savage, you won't have a job. Anymore, and you'll end up just like Scott Hall will after Super Brawl. Ignore that. Now we move to our opening match, which is Raven against Fit Finlay, and Raven walks out with the victor, because once again Raven is wrapped up in what is becoming slowly but surely a heated feud between him and United States Champion Diamond Dallas Page over the United States title, and how Raven feels Diamond Dallas Page is the complete opposite of him. Now we move to the post-match segment with Raven grabbing a microphone and being unscripted for most of his promo, but finishing with this. Page, I can tell you have some ill will towards me, so Mr. Blue Collar, the working man's favorite, the man who could do no wrong wants to do wrong, the man who's beloved by everyone because he's worked so hard. But what about me? What about Raven? Soon, that championship will be mine. Quote the Raven, nevermore. Ignore that. I forgot to take that away. That was original. See, Hogan and DDP were the original main event, but I changed the original main event. This is a number one contender match for the this is a number one contender tag team match to determine who will face the Steiner brothers at Super Brawl, and the winners of the match were Megan the Barbarian, the Faces of Fear, after Stevie Ray got distracted from Jimmy Hart at ringside, allowing, I believe, Ming to get the victory. Now we move to Gene Okerlund joining Jimmy Hart and the Faces of Fear in the ring for a quick interview with Jimmy Hart and his men. Gene Okerlund asks, Jimmy, how does it feel to know that your tag team gets another shot against the Steiners at Super Brawl with that victory? You know something, Gene? It feels pretty good because the Steiners got lucky once. The The Steiners got lucky once because my boys proved that they were the better team at Starrcade. But the Steiners got lucky at Sold Out when they defeated Megan the Barbarian in a fluke. Because the Barbarian was, the referee thought that the Barbarian was tapping out, was saying that I give, but he was not. It's just that the referee did not know how to speak the language that the Barbarian was speaking, and misunderstood him. So as far as I'm concerned, Gene, the Faceless Affair should be still the tag team champions. But that's beside the point, because this match against the Steiner brothers will be our redemption, and we will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Steiners' fluke at Sold Out was just us loading them our championships, and now we're coming in to cash. We are coming to cash in on our loan and get our titles back to once again be the leaders of the WCW Tag Team Division. Now we move to the next match with Chris Benoit defending the WCW television title against Disco Inferno and Chris Jericho in a triple threat match for the TV belt. And Disco Inferno comes up short in this match after being pinned via the Dragon Suplex. Right now, this means nothing, the fact that Disco got pinned. But eventually, it will mean something, because this isn't the end of the road between Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Now we move to the next segment with Ric Flair calling out his former manager and Vice President of the WCW Championship Committee, James J. Dillon. Because he's trying to accomplish something, and this is the only way he knows how. Out comes JJ. Flair tells JJ something like this. JJ, have you been watching? Have you been seeing what's been going on? With me getting assaulted, somebody attacking Arn, somebody attacking Roddy, somebody's trying to take me out and take out all the people I care about. Yes, Rick, we've been watching, and we've been trying to figure out how to help you, but just like you, Rick, we don't know who's been doing it, so we really can't do much until we figure out the identity of who or whom is attacking you and had their past attacks. JJ, I know that for somebody to be allowed in this building, they need to be contracted. They need to have a contract with this company, and because you have your position in the championship committee, you can force them to compete and show their face and be a man. Rick, we can force contracted WCW superstars, but we don't even know if he's a contracted WCW superstar because he attacks backstage and also the attack on you with the lights out. For all we know, it could be an outsider. We don't know, Rick. We don't know. JJ, you have resources. You have Turner's money to help you figure it out. So why don't you do something about it? I thought I had Roddy Piper come out and join the fray, but I don't think I did, now that I think about it. But JJ does say this. You know what, Rick? I will do something about it. I will do something about it, and it's me booking tonight's main event. I'm making tonight's main event. Because if you and Roddy Piper are so hungry to get your hands on someone, how about you and Piper team up tonight against the Outsiders in the main event? And you can maybe get some of this frustration out because you are mouthing off to the wrong person, Rick. Go get ready for your match, because it's the main event tonight. Things just got interesting because JJ stood up for himself against Ric Flair. Goldberg continues his undefeated streak by defeating one half of the Public Enemy in Rocco Rock. Macho Man Randy Savage makes his way to the ring and issues an open challenge to anybody backstage, and much like Bret Hart's open challenge a few weeks ago, Randy Savage makes mention to the Hitman by saying something like this. Bret Hart, you wanted me to watch your match? You wanted me to see why you are the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be? Well, why don't you feast your eyes on how the Macho Man handles his business in the ring. Randy goes into his match against Ray Traylor, and Randy Savage is victorious against Ray Traylor, whom I believe this is his first match in quite a while, but still. He's competing, that's all that matters. Once again, we come back from commercial break. Gene Okerlund is in the ring and introduces his guest at this time, the WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Sting. And Gene asks Sting, he says, Sting, I really just have one question for you, and that is, I want to get your thoughts on the magnitude of your apparent match against Scott Hall at Super Brawl, which seems to be for Scott Hall's contract in the WCW. What are your thoughts? I have been fighting against the NWO for over a year, and now it seems like when I took the WCW World Heavyweight title from Hulk Hogan at Starrcade, it seems like they just started to collapse from the inside. My job is to defend this title every time I step into this ring, and that's exactly what I'm going to do at Super Brawl, whether Scott Hall's contract is on the line or not, because I am like everybody else back there. I could care less what's going on in the NWO because of all the damage, disrespect, and disregard for everybody else that the NWO has shown since they formed 2 years ago. So I don't care if it's Scott Hall, Eric Bischoff, Kevin Nash, or Hulk Hogan. Come Super Brawl, I'm gonna walk in WCW World Champion, and I will be leaving still WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Now, Kevin Nash makes his way out to the ring and tells Sting, Stinger, I ain't got no problem with you. What I have a problem with is Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan running their mouth when they know I'm not even in the arena yet. I was out having some drinks at the local bar, getting some, thinking over what I'm gonna do to Hulk Hogan when I finally get my hands around that neck of his, and how much I want to wring the neck of that weasel Eric Bischoff. But I ain't got no problem with you, Sting. But the reason why I'm out here, and the reason why I wanted to tell you this face to face, is because I respect you. I respect what you've done in the WCW, and I respect that the fact that you wanted to challenge me to prove that you're better than me. But once again, our match ended in controversy. We will meet again, Sting, I promise you that, but I'm not out here for me. I'm out here for my best friend. I'm out here because you're versing Scott Hall at Super Brawl. Apparently his WCW contract is on the line. Sting, I'm out here to tell you that it's not just going to be you against Scott, because I will be at ringside. I will be at ringside to watch my brother's back and make sure this match has no interference and that the best man wins. Now Eric Bischoff comes down to the ring. While both Sting and Kevin Nash are still standing there, and Eric Bischoff says, "Kevin, if I see you at ringside during that match at Super Brawl, you will lose your job too. Because fact is, it's either Scott wins the match on his own, or both of you are fired. Because right now, I'm making the match official. Scott Hall versus Sting, title versus career at Super Brawl. So it's either Scott walks away with the WCW World Heavyweight title, or he walks away from the WCW. And you ain't managing him. Maybe if you didn't cross Eric Bischoff and the NWO, I would be feeling a little bit more generous. But as far as I'm concerned, all you've done is cause headaches, and why do you deserve special treatment? You ain't his manager. You're nothing but his handler. Now, go get ready for your match, Kev. The main event tonight, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, the Outsiders, against Flair and Roddy Piper, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are victorious against the Legends. This is Kevin Nash's first win, actually, or maybe his second win, actually in 1998. He's competed in 4 matches, 1 draw, and 3 losses. This is his first win in 1998. The match, however, does not end, as even though these 4 men have their own problems now, there's still a bit of tension between each of these men, partly because Ric Flair has become somewhat paranoid in thinking that anybody could have been the person who attacked him, and that's why him and Piper faced off with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to end this episode of Nitro. But next week is the go-home show to Super Brawl, where you will see now the blow-off, the final match between the Faces of Fear and the Steiner Brothers, and Kevin Nash banned from ringside, career versus title, Scott Hall against Sting. Also, will we find out who has been causing Ric Flair all this sort of paranoia, distress, and basically trying to end his career? Will we find out more next week on who's been trying to do it, or will it remain a mystery? The only way to find out is to tune in next week on Nitro, where we hit the final leg of the race before Super Brawl, live on pay-per-view. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for hanging with me for the length of this video. Remember, don't forget to like, subscribe for more unique content just like this that you can only find right here on Wrestling Express. Thank you. Till next time.